The silly moments, the proud moments, even the hard moments. They're why Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is committed to making healthcare better, more affordable, with more choices for care, and peace of mind through it all. Because Blue is here for you.
Welcome to the Made in Iowa podcast, presented by Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I'm your host, Lisa Fox, and today I get to sit down with Beth Townsend. She's the Director of Iowa Workforce Development and announces the AMPT grant. Its goal is to upskill our manufacturing talent for today's technological needs. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. I am excited to finally meet the Director of Iowa Workforce Development. Beth Townsend is with us today, and we're kind of announcing a really cool opportunity for our manufacturing employers to get access to some training grants.
That's correct. It's the AMPT program, which we announced last week. Applications open June 29th on iowagrants.gov. And it's a great opportunity for advanced manufacturers to get some workforce training dollars.
In 2022, Iowa had access to some funds. They were called Manufacturing 4.0 to help sort of update their technology, create some automation within their plant floors. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful marriage now, bringing in these training dollars to be able to maybe upskill their current team.
Upskill or even train new employees that are necessary for expansion or to fill outstanding needs.
And we were able to help 72 manufacturing facilities with those Manufacturing 4.0 funds. And I would imagine it's a bit of a learning cycle for these employers. Once they get the equipment, that robot can only do so much on its own. It needs qualified operators to run it. And I'm sure we have access to more and more data and information through the automation in these employers' facilities that now we can find training programs to help them with their skills.
Well, if you think about the advancement of technology between 2022 and where we are in 2026, AI was not a thing in 2022, and now it's everything, right?
It is a lot.
In order for employers to be able to maximize the benefits that they got from the investments that we made in their improving technology in their manufacturing, this will just help them take that one more step. We wanted to use a program that already existed and then expand the return that we're going to get for that investment.
It's brilliant. And these are U.S. Department of Labor funds.
Correct.
That Iowa competed to receive, correct?
That's right. There were 14 states that received these awards. And so we had to put in an application, and our program was selected for funding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about, you have been in your role over 10 years, and at the end of your term, it'll be almost 12, correct?
That's right. I started in January of 2015. My hair was not gray, so this is probably a result of the pandemic.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, started in January of 2015, and I've been there and will be there through the end of the administration.
I couldn't wait to talk to you because I wanted your perspective on how things changed, because you were in your role for over 5 years when the pandemic hit.
That's right.
And I feel like the world just turned upside down from an employment perspective. I was running a youth shelter at the time, and I can't tell you how my employee base changed through COVID. Things just became, in those industries that are able to, more flexible, more tolerant. And I feel like those of us that have to have people on staff because we've got a product to build, it became a lot harder to recruit and retain. Is that what you've seen in your tenure?
Yeah, I mean, right after the pandemic, we had a workforce shortage because so many people had left the workforce or the labor force as a result of the pandemic, and it's not like they returned overnight.
No.
So we're still not back yet to the labor force participation rate we were pre-pandemic. We're getting close. We're within a couple of points, but we just have fewer people in the labor force, and that's for a variety of reasons. And so, coming out of the pandemic, when we were trying to get more people to come back to work, employers increased their wages, expanded their benefit programs, provided flexibility in work hours and days, did all kinds of things to recruit new employees. We've kind of seen a little bit of that. Now we don't have a shortage as much. We only have about 50,000 open jobs in Iowa, and after the pandemic, we had almost 90,000. So employers have a little bit more selection,
Right.
and jobs are a little more competitive than they were then. But still, we still need more. We don't have enough skilled workers. Let's say that.
And we had a conversation before we turned the mics on. Manufacturing, while we're still short, I think it's a matching issue. You are direly short in healthcare, correct?
We are, yes. We have, I think this last month, we had over 4,600 RN positions open and posted. It was about 3,000 when I started in 2015, and then not surprising after the pandemic that those openings increased significantly because nurses just got burnt out and left the field and found other opportunities to use their education, but not necessarily in that direct care environment. So we are in desperate need, but we need workers all across. It's not just registered nurses. It's the tech positions. It's the direct care workers, the CNAs, the LPNs. We certainly need more doctors. We need specialty doctors. I mean, we need help across the whole gambit.
And is that national?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just Iowa that's
No, it's
facing
not.
it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that there is funding available for these hospitals to recruit?
Not for hospitals to recruit, but the
Okay.
legislature provided this last session Iowa Workforce Development with $3.5 million that we can use to support the expansion of infrastructure.
Gotcha.
So in order for community colleges, for instance, to be able to expand the number of RN students that they can train any given year, maybe they need a bigger lab, maybe they need a bigger classroom. Well, we've got some money now that we could help support that infrastructure investment that would hopefully then expand their training capacity.
Wonderful. Anything that we can do, because I think at any given time, we will all be facing the need for healthcare.
Absolutely.
So none of us are immune to that. Well, let's get back into your background, Beth. I was shocked when I looked up your resume and saw that you were an attorney. And then you went into the Air Force. Was that after you became an attorney?
I went into the Air Force right after I graduated from
Did
law
you?
school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what'd you do in the Air Force?
I was a JAG.
No way.
Yeah. So did lots of a variety of things. My most of my experience was in litigation. I did a lot of courtroom work. That was what I preferred to do. So prosecuting and then defense counsel and then ultimately military judge.
Were you part of any significant cases that you can talk about?
Well, I did have a client who was, if you remember when the, unfortunately, the Black Hawks, or the Air Force shot down a Black Hawk helicopter and killed, I think 17 Americans.
I do remember that.
So
awful.
And then they prosecuted an airman who was responsible for the recon and the intelligence and then not providing. So I did have some clients that were involved in that.
Wow. Important work. And then from your JAG officership, what did you do after that?
I moved to Iowa and went into private practice in employment law. So did that for about 11 years.
Wow.
And then was hired by Governor Branstad to oversee the Civil Rights Commission
Okay.
in 2011.
So that was your first real foray into public
Yes.
service.
In the state government.
Yeah, in
for
state
sure.
government. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, talk about the way things were when you came in 2015. Talk about the department then and the transformation you've seen in your almost 10 years now.
So when I started in 2015, Workforce was really experiencing some difficulties. They were having, the legislature was they were doing a lot of oversight hearings. There was a lot of frustrations, I think, with the agency from stakeholders. And so, and my predecessor had to make some very difficult and unpopular positions. And unfortunately, when you do that, which I've experienced myself, you bear the brunt of that. So
You can't do anything right.
That's right. Exactly.
Nobody's, not everyone is happy ever.
Yes. So the first probably year that I was at Iowa Workforce Development, it was really just kind of digging in and figuring out where the issues are, what are the problems. I wanted to get the focus on the positives of what Iowa Workforce does, which is help connect employers with employees, which helps Iowans find jobs or training opportunities. I wanted that to be the focus, not all the drama and the noise that there was when I got there.
And what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of what we did during the pandemic, because we literally, on a dime, in a single day, went from normal operations to every single employee was working in the unemployment insurance program. And if you remember, the federal government created 4 different
I totally forgot about that.
And so we paid out, I think, $3 or $4 billion worth of benefits. They would create these programs, which we had to write and implement from scratch. We were able to do it in a relatively short period of time. We provided customer service throughout. I mean, we would get over 100,000 calls a day. Wow. And so I am so proud of how well we handled it, because my goal during that time period was I did not want Governor Reynolds to have to deal with unemployment insurance questions and why aren't people getting paid? Because a lot of states were having difficulties and just couldn't get these programs implemented very quickly. She had enough to do and enough that she needed to focus on, and I did not want unemployment to be one of them. And so I think we did a pretty good job making sure that didn't happen.
Oh, congratulations with that. And I think Iowa did so many things right during the pandemic.
For sure.
And I'm proud how I think we rebounded quicker than any of of the other states.
She's an incredibly strong leader, and she made some very brave choices during the pandemic.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get into the AMPT grant, and I want to make it real for the manufacturers that are listening. And I'm just going to offer a scenario. Let's say I am a manufacturer in rural Iowa. I've got 75 employees. I, either through the Manufacturing 4.0 or my own capital investment, made some significant improvements in automation in my plant. And I'm now realizing that perhaps I don't have the right talent to be able to run the equipment. I need some technical...
Or they don't have the skills.
Available to do that. What can I do as an employer?
So the AMPT grant, which is Advanced Manufacturing Pathways Grant, would allow an employer could receive reimbursement up to, for instance, in your scenario, since it's an employer with less than 299 employees, could get up to 80% reimbursement of their education and training costs. So if you found a program, let's say the manufacturer of the piece of equipment that you purchased had a 16-week course, and you wanted to send 3 of your employees to that course or have them do it online, and so you could get reimbursement on the cost of that training program. You could get reimbursement on the wages that you paid those employees while they were getting their training. We're going to reimburse employers up to $4,000. We have a tiered system in terms of what percentage you can get reimbursed for eligible expenses.
And the highest percentage, if you are under 250 employees, 299 is 80%, correct?
That's correct. You can get 40% of your training cost after the training is completed. And then if you retain those employees for more than 6 months after they get the training completed, then you could get another 40% of your eligible expenses reimbursed.
And that incentive is so powerful, that second 40%, because it really forces the employer to think through how they're going to retain that employee and put the infrastructure in place to help them succeed.
Right. Well,
like
it's a
that a
really
lot.
good opportunity for an employer to invest in good employees, right?
Correct.
And get them a skill that's going to be that's going to help with their current employment, help them expand the use of the equipment they bought after they participated in manufacturing 4.0.
So let's say I've got a great production employee who fits the culture, seems to catch on quickly, and I want to upskill him. Is he?
You would be eligible. Yep.
Okay.
You would be eligible for reimbursement
That's
of those expenses.
That's awesome. So is this part of a bigger workforce strategy? So instead of all of these employers across the state competing for the same, especially in rural Iowa, Beth, it is so hard to recruit people to these small towns. And it seems like the manufacturers just kind of keep trading employees around rather than leaving them in that production position. They can actually identify those shining stars and through some help that they might not be able to afford otherwise, upskill them into these roles that will hopefully then retain them.
Well, employers know who their good employees are and who they want to retain. And when they have unmet needs, and it's just a matter of getting someone with the right skills and the right training, this money is available directly to employers. And there's not a lot of workforce training dollars available directly to employers, and that's why this program is important, and I think and kind of new in the state, because we have training programs that employers can participate in, but this is one of the few where they can get directly reimbursed for their training expenses and get reimbursed for the wages that they paid either for the employee while they were getting the training, or if they used an on-the-job trainer, for the wages for that trainer.
And that's another opportunity they have, is to build the curriculum internally and find, let's say you've got a first shift operator that is fully trained and you need to upskill that second shift operator. You could use the first shift operator to train the up and comer. If you've got, it's got to be specific though. You can't say, I just want them to get better.
Right. You need to be able to articulate the training that they're receiving, and there needs to be an outcome to that training. So it can't just be the first shift guy saying, well, this is how you use this machine a little bit better. It has to be, I've identified you, second shift employee, you need these skills. You need to complete this training program.
And it needs to be a specific term.
Yes. First shift guy is going to help you is going to help you through that, mentor you, or actually do the training to get through that coursework. And then would be eligible expenses available for reimbursement.
Wonderful.
Under the grant.
Now, experts from Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield, our Made in Iowa presenting sponsor, break down top health concerns for employers. Today, Kristen Slepica, Wellmark Vice President and Chief Technology Officer, shares how they're using AI to help members get answers faster and improve their experience.
Wellmark is using technology to work in more innovative ways in lots of places, and I wish it was as easy as pointing technology at a problem to solve. We really start with mindset, with curiosity, with asking questions versus jumping to the right technology. But when we think about AI, we think about it through two lenses. One is, how do we make an experience simpler for a member? How does AI show up to support our member experiences? We also look at it through, how are we using it for our employees to make things more efficient behind the scenes? An example of how innovation and AI are showing up is a new search experience that we are deploying through My Wellmark. My Wellmark is a site that all of our members go to, and we were able to identify an opportunity to make the benefits search a lot more simple. The benefits documentation on My Wellmark is robust and complete, but it's not written in natural language. So when somebody's looking for a benefit when their feet hurt, they may search for what are my benefits if my feet hurt. They may not search for podiatry or orthotics. And so just really simplifying that experience, and AI in the back end to deliver that simple experience is how we're trying to find opportunities for innovation and AI to show up for our members. Technology can make experiences less confusing by predicting the next best action or helping to provide insights that aren't naturally there. Great experience is Netflix. You know, when you go into Netflix, it knows what you've watched, knows what you like, and it recommends something. Those are the types of experiences that are just super simple. And trying to embrace those principles as we design and implement solutions for our members and our employees. No matter where technology shows up, everything is centered around the human experience and human judgment. So AI is a tool that can create content and help with decisions, but those decisions are informed by humans in the loop. So when we think about innovation and technology at Wellmark, we're really focusing on the mindset of the employees, the tool sets that they use and the skill sets that they need. And so bringing that to life for our employees helps to ensure that anytime AI is in a process, anytime automation is included in a process, there's always human judgment making those final determinations. Technology and the technology strategy is intended to make healthcare better. So I'm really excited about how technology shows up through that lens. How do we reduce administrative burden across the entire spectrum? How do we partner with providers? How do we engage our members in ways that are more interesting and kind of simpler for them to use?
Thanks for listening. Want to learn more? Visit wellmark.com/made in Iowa. Wellmark is an Iowa leader in group health insurance coverage. Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association. Take me 5 years out. So let's hope that we've dispersed the $43 million. $4.3 million. Good.
I like
that would
where
be
you're
awesome.
at. Yeah, that would
right?
be.
Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
We've dispersed the $4.3 million. We've already laid the foundation with the manufacturing 4.0. What does Iowa look like?
Well, hopefully the employers that benefited from this program have really skilled employees that are still with them and that have the skills that are most useful and most needed for that employer. And hopefully we're establishing the benefit of looking at workforce training in this, using this kind of platform or model, i.e. we're providing money directly to employers. They can select the employees to be trained. They can select the program and the platform for that training. They can identify the skills that needed to be acquired, and then it's utilized right in the workplace, right? So you're helping strengthen an employer's workforce by allowing them to use employees they have already invested in and identified as someone that they want to keep around and they want to upskill.
For those that want more information on the grant, it's amped.iowa.gov. So it's ampd.iowa.gov. And there's an application process that they go through. They actually submit the training, whatever their plan is, their training plan,
Exactly.
with their application. And then they put their employees, and it's up to $250,000 per employer.
That's correct.
And if you divide that by 4,000, that's a good chunk of the team that could be trained.
Right.
And remember, it's 40% that gets paid
When the training's completed.
when the training is completed, and then after 6 months,
Right.
if they retain those employees, they get the second.
They can get another 40%.
And this is a reimbursement, not a pre-fund.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
I just wanted to make sure
It's
that
also available for new employees. So it's also available for employers if let's say they're putting in a new line or they're maybe putting in a second line of what they invested in with the 4.0 and they need to hire some new employees. You could also use the grant to pay for training for new employees.
Awesome. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Iowa's competitive stance across the U.S. You, I would assume, have a group of peers that you get to interact with on a fairly frequent basis, and you've probably over 10 years established a good relationship with them. What are some of the assets that you see in the Iowa workforce that you don't see in other states?
Well, what I always like to tell the governor when the unemployment rates come out, I always remind her that Iowa is one of maybe 4 or 5 states that has low unemployment and high labor force participation. Now, there may be states ahead of us who have even lower unemployment rates, but if you look at their labor force participation, like Mississippi, 58%. Only 58% of their population is in the labor force. So it's not surprising that their unemployment rate is pretty low, given they have fewer people that they're counting.
And that's something I'd love to dig into a little bit, is that labor force participation rate, because I think the average person doesn't understand it. So after a certain period of time in unemployment, those unemployed fall off of the numbers. No?
The labor force participation rate is not tied to the unemployment.
Okay.
To people's, and it's everybody who's looking for work or is employed.
Okay.
So if you're unemployed but you're looking for work, you're going to be accounted as part of the labor force.
Okay.
And then figuring out the rate. If you retired and you don't have any more plans, then you would fall off the rate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think that people get those confused, the unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate. Do you have those numbers off the top of your head?
So I think for May it was 3.2%, and then our labor force participation was about 67.2%.
And where are our competitive states? Where do we fall?
So the other states that have low unemployment and high labor force participation rate are states like Nebraska, North and South Dakota, Utah, and us. And it's really just those 5 states that have the combination. Yeah. But as I like to tell Governor Reynolds, North Dakota has like 4 people in their workforce, so they know if they're not working, right? Literally, the governor can go knock on their door.
Joe just stopped working.
Right. We want you to return, get a personalized visit from the governor. So it's a little bit different.
It is. The other thing we talk about often on the show is the silver tsunami that's coming. And the number that I heard is 240,000 seniors will be retiring or eligible to retire within the next 5 years. And you say that there are 50,000 available positions right now. That's 290 that I'm going, what are we going to do? So talk about that silver tsunami and what you think about it.
Well, as long as I've been in my role, so from 2015, I've been hearing that the boomers are all going to retire and we're going to have all these open jobs. What I have seen over the course of my time at workforce development is, it's not a static status. So you have a lot of people who will retire, think they want to retire, but then return to the workforce.
It's not all it's cracked up to be.
Or they're in a financial position that is weaker than they imagine. If inflation goes way up, then their dollars, if they're on a fixed income, don't go as far, so they need to make that gap up. I mean, a lot of them, or maybe they just decide that retirement's not really for me, and I need to be doing something. So, we are going to have, but that's been true. You always have people leaving the workforce, whether it's for retirement, whether it's for mothers who are taking care of children. Now we see a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s leaving the workforce to take care of elderly parents. So you're always going to have that flux, I think, which is why you need to look at the consistency of your labor force participation rate. We were at about 70% pre-pandemic. So in 2019, at the end of 2019 and right before, we were at about 69.8%. So we're only a couple of points different from where we were. And again, when you look at some of these states, in the South or other states that just have really low participation rates, I would much rather be in a state where the unemployment rate's a little bit higher, but you have high labor force participation, which means you have more people working or looking for work.
I completely agree with that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Business Record Editor Sarah Dean. I just wanted to pop in here quick before we get back to Lisa's great conversation with this week's guest to take a moment and share about our virtual manufacturing forecast event coming up on August 6th at noon. This year, we're sharing Iowa manufacturers' stories of adaptation. As Lisa has learned through her conversations on the Made in Iowa podcast, a successful future in the manufacturing sector depends on being willing and able to adapt. She'll be moderating this event, interviewing leaders about their lessons and results from adaptation, and we'll also look ahead at expectations for the manufacturing economy in the next year. We hope you join us. You can register by visiting businessrecord.com/events or by visiting the link in the description.
Let's talk about the other resources available through Iowa Workforce Development. I know I'm surprised consistently at all of the services that you do provide.
That's right.
Can you talk through sort of the full gamut of the services that you provide?
So one of the things that should be important to employers is we have the Business Engagement Division. And that was a division that Governor Reynolds asked us to create in 2018. And it was designed to have dedicated consultants to work specifically with employers in each one of our areas where we have an American Job Center. So there's 15 different areas around the state. We wanted to make sure, because one of the things we noticed at the beginning was a lot of employers didn't know who we were, other than we collected unemployment taxes and paid payments, right? But they didn't really know what other things we could do for them. So the Business Engagement Division is designed to give them a one-stop shop as well. Because we can have employers, I just, one example, Ollie's general store opened in Ottumwa. It's a national chain, and it was I think it was the first store that they were going to open in Iowa. They hooked up with the business engagement consultant in Ottumwa. And she, working with the American Job Center there, they set up the job fairs. Ollie's was shocked at how many people they recruited to come, how many, they completely rounded out their workforce, told us, we don't get this kind of service in any other state. This is amazing.
Wow.
So that's just one example of how we can help employers, find skilled workforce, because we have iowaworks.gov, and so anybody who's registered in there, if they're unemployed or looking for work, and an employer comes in and says, I need 5 welders, and I need them in this area, and I need them right away, we can go into our database and identify who's got welding experience, who's looking for a job in your area. And then we can contact those people and give them the referral to the employer that hopefully they can reach out then and look into that job.
And I didn't realize until the Tyson plant in Perry closed that you guys had such rapid deployment.
We have a rapid response team.
Yeah, that comes in. Talk about how you deal and what is that number? Because you are notified if there are more than a certain
50.
More than 50 being laid off in a company. What does your team do in that instance?
So we have a rapid response team that meets with the employers and works with them directly to, number one, make sure that everybody that's being laid off permanently gets their unemployment benefits filed for without issue, and then they can move on to the job search. We have employee meetings where we explain to the affected employees, what they're eligible for, whether it's unemployment benefits. They might be eligible for some training dollars, depending on the nature of their layoff. If it's a business closure, they would be eligible for expanded unemployment benefits. We work very closely, set up career fairs, job fairs, recruiting employers in the local area to come and talk with all of these people. That's what we did in Perry.
Yeah, you did.
We have a mobile unit. The governor gave us money from the pandemic money that Iowa got to buy a mobile unit, and we take that around all over the state. We can go where we don't have American Job Centers. We can go disaster response or layoff responses. It's basically an American Job Center on wheels. It's got 11 computers, so anything you can do in American Job Center, we can do on the mobile unit.
And let's talk about the American Job Centers and the employers that are listening today that might have some challenges. Do they just reach out? Do they Google? Is there a specific website that they go to?
Well, the iowaworks.gov is where businesses can sign up to receive notifications and to post jobs
Okay.
on iowaworks.gov. And that's the largest job posting site in the state, because we post not only employers' jobs that they sign up for and post, but we also scrape from like Indeed or other job posting sites that have Iowa jobs, so that they're all located in one central location. And then you can go on iowaworks.gov and you can search by location, by occupation, by industry, by wage, all kinds of different factors that go into your job search. You can get pretty specific looking for positions that would meet your criteria.
I recently read Jim Collins' new book, and he talks about cliff moments in a career. Mm-hmm. And that can be a layoff, that can be thought retirement that doesn't turn out to be a retirement. Mm-hmm. And he talks about and interviewed 250 different individuals and found that even later in life, exploring your skills is so powerful. Mm-hmm. And it's never too late to try something new. Mm-hmm. And I guess I would just encourage the listeners to really be thoughtful about, if you're in a job that you hate, go on iowaworkforce.gov.
Well, one of the programs that we started in 2022 as a result of the pandemic was the reemployment case management program. It is the only program of its kind in the country, but is early intervention. So you get contacted by a case manager the first week that you filed for benefits, and we're going to go through, we're going to make sure, number one, that your application for benefits is good to go. You've got everything done you need to do. And then we're going to start talking about your plan for finding another job. And what we have found is it really helps bring down the temperature, because people who are laid off unexpectedly, or maybe their job, they lose their job, they're very anxious and frustrated. They don't know what the future is going to look like. And one of the great benefits of that program is it's an opportunity to say, well, what would you do if you could do anything?
Right.
And let's look at, how do we tailor your resume so that you could get that job? And have you thought about applying for those jobs? And time after time after time, we hear from Iowans saying, I never thought I could get that job. I'm better off than I was before I got laid off, and I thought that was the end of the world, and now it's a whole new world. And so I love that program. It's also what allowed us to save so much money in the unemployment trust fund, and allowed the governor and the legislature to reduce unemployment taxes for employers last year by 40 to 60%.
Good heavens.
And we still have $2 billion in our trust fund.
Okay, talk about the trust fund. How was it established, and what do you use it for?
It only pays benefits.
Okay.
So it's based on unemployment taxes that employers pay based on its a percentage of wages.
Okay.
And the changes, for instance, it used to be that you had to pay wages, or you had to pay taxes based on wages up to, let's say, $40,000. That's been reduced significantly, and I can't remember what it is right now. I think it's the first $7,500 of income. So we've reduced the amount of wages that are going to be taxed. We also reduced the overall rates and capped the highest rate would be at 5.4%. So it really lowered what employers are paying into the fund without compromising the fund at all, because we want to be good stewards, and we want to make sure, if God forbid we have another event like the pandemic, that we're in a position to be able to pay benefits long term. Most states, some states have not even repaid the federal government for what they borrowed to pay for the pandemic. Iowa did not have to borrow any money. We were good. And so that allowed us to pass on the savings to employers by reducing their taxes, which we hope they then invest in
and
workforce
they do.
training.
Most
yes,
of them
absolutely.
do.
Yeah.
All right. You've got a big election coming up. Mm-hmm. Our governor is not coming back, which is sad for so many of us. Mm-hmm. What does the future look like for you?
Well, that's a really good question. I have not thought too far ahead about the transition and what I want to do in my next job. I have said, I kind of want to get a job where I wouldn't have any responsibility and didn't have to make any decisions.
Right.
But I probably would get bored with that. I'd be one of those folks like, this isn't really for me. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, in the workforce development space for people who have experience. And I'm one of the more longer-termed or tenured directors, because most of these cabinet level positions change out with the new governor.
Right.
And so in other states, they have term limits, for instance. So like in Virginia, it changes every 4 years. Most states, it changes every 8 years. So I'm one of the older, more experienced directors around the country, and have made a lot of contacts. And so, I don't know, maybe we'll see.
And there's no question that you're a fixer. So I'm sure there are other things that need fixed around the state. So you could just go find another department to fix or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the first time since 2011 where you're having a brand new administration. So it'll be interesting to see.
I know. I'm a little scared. It will be good.
Well,
it will be fine.
If I could make you feel better, what I would say is I may be leaving the agency, but the people on the ground and are doing the work are going to remain.
Awesome.
And the leadership. And I always want legislators to come in and tour the American Job Centers and meet the people that are working there. Because sometimes, if you work for a state agency, you get that bureaucrat label and you're characterized as being lazy and you don't care.
Right.
That is not who we have. We are customer service centric. Those folks work every day to help people.
And they have to have a passion for it, because you don't do that work.
They have to have a servant's mentality.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for all you've done to serve Iowa all this time. And whatever the future looks like, good luck to you. I would encourage everybody that is listening today, if you've got jobs that you need some technically trained folks for, these AMPed grants.
If you're in advanced
manufacturing. And the grants you'll keep running them until they're gone.
Until we run out of money.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
well, thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity.
I am really so glad to meet you.
Yes, I've enjoyed the conversation.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Made in Iowa. Subscribe, like, and share wherever you listen. Catch episodes weekly from the Iowa Everywhere studio on the BPC streaming network.